Every night, without fail, it rises, silent, pale, unmoving. For hundreds of thousands of years, humanity has lived beneath the moon's gaze, measuring time by it, worshipping it, fearing it, and attributing to it powers over the mind, the body, and the soul. Yet despite centuries of scientific progress, one unsettling fact remains. We do not fully understand the moon. It behaves unlike any other moon in our solar system. It occupies an orbit so precise it appears calculated, and it exerts influence over Earth far beyond what its size should allow. Welcome to Unwanted Archives channel. Tonight, we are not exploring what the moon is according to textbooks. We are exploring what it might be according to anomalies, ancient records, suppressed questions, and modern alternative theories. What if the moon is not natural? What if it was placed here deliberately? And what if its purpose extends far beyond gravity, into the realm of consciousness itself? In mainstream astronomy, the moon is explained by the giant impact hypothesis, a catastrophic collision between Earth and a Mars-sized body billions of years ago. After the collision, over time, the moon formed and it turned out perfect. Not larger, not smaller, perfect. Astronomers call this coincidence. Others call it engineering. During the Apollo missions, astronauts placed seismic instruments on the moon. Then they crashed lunar module into its surface. The goal was simple: measure the moon's internal structure. What happened next shocked mission scientists. The moon rang, not for seconds, not for minutes, but for nearly an hour. NASA documents describe it as behaving like a bell. This is deeply unusual. Solid celestial bodies dampen vibrations. The moon did not. Further analysis revealed something stranger. The moon's interior appears layered, asymmetrical, and unusually rigid. Its core is small and offset, not centered. Its density suggests vast regions of low mass beneath the crust. To skeptics, this is just unusual geology. To others, it raises a disturbing question. What if the moon is partially hollow? And if so, hollow for what purpose? The idea that the moon might be artificial is not a modern internet invention. It has quietly existed on the fringe of scientific and philosophical thought for decades, emerging wherever the moon's behavior refuses to align neatly with expectation. At the center of the artificial moon hypothesis is a simple but unsettling observation. The moon does too much, too precisely. In our solar system, moons are typically small, irregular, and chaotic. They form from debris, are captured by gravity, or result from collisions. Their orbits are usually elliptical. Their compositions vary wildly. Our moon does not follow these rules. It is enormous, nearly 1/4 the size of Earth. It occupies a nearly perfect circular orbit. It is tidally locked with mathematical precision, and it stabilizes Earth in a way no other moon does for its planet. Remove the moon, and Earth becomes unstable. Its axial tilt would fluctuate violently. Climate would swing between extremes. Complex life may never have emerged. From a purely functional standpoint, the moon behaves less like a random byproduct and more like a system component. Proponents of the artificial moon hypothesis argue that this level of optimization is statistically improbable without intervention. They point to the moon's density problem. The moon is far less dense than Earth. On average, Its mass suggests either a different origin or a structure containing large regions of low-density material beneath the crust. Some researchers speculate this could indicate internal voids, cavernous structures, or a shell-like configuration. This idea gained traction after Apollo-era seismic data suggested the moon resonates unusually well, as though vibrations travel through it with minimal resistance. In engineering terms, this is what hollow or reinforced structures do. Then there is the moon's core. It is small, it is offset, and it does not behave like the molten cores of other rocky bodies. Some have suggested the moon's interior resembles a constructed framework, not solid throughout, but strategically structured. At this point, critics argue geology can explain these features. But supporters respond with a different question. If the moon is natural, why is it so uniquely perfect for Earth? Which leads to the idea of intentional placement. In this framework, the moon was not built near Earth, but elsewhere. It was then moved, positioned, and locked into orbit with extraordinary precision. This would require technology far beyond human capability, but not beyond the realm of theoretical physics. Advanced civilizations would not think in terms of rockets and fuel, but gravitational manipulation, energy fields, or space-time engineering. To such an intelligence, moving a moon might be no more difficult than moving a satellite is to us. The moon, in this view, becomes a mega-scale artifact, an object whose function outweighs its form. And that function appears to be control. Control of tides, control of time, control of biological rhythms, control of planetary stability, and possibly control of consciousness. If Earth were an experiment, a preserve, or a managed environment, the moon would be the perfect tool to regulate it. Always present, always watching, never turning away. If the moon is artificial, maybe it was placed rather than formed, then there must have been a time when it was not here. And strangely enough, ancient cultures around the world seem to remember exactly that. Long before telescopes, satellites, or astrophysics, humans recorded stories of a sky that was different. A sky without the moon. In ancient Greece, Aristotle referenced the Arcadians, a people known as the Proselenes, literally translated as those who lived before the moon. This was not poetic language. It was presented as historical tradition. In Zulu mythology, the moon was not born, but dragged into the sky by two brothers, altering the world below. In ancient Bolivia, legends speak of a time when the moon suddenly appeared, bringing floods and chaos. Australian Aboriginal stories describe dramatic changes to tides and animal behavior linked to the moon's arrival. Individually, these myths can be dismissed. Collectively, they form a pattern. Unrelated cultures, separated by oceans, telling the same story. A world-changing celestial event. If the moon arrives suddenly, within human prehistory, the consequences would have been catastrophic. Tides would surge violently. Coastlines would be destroyed. Weather patterns would destabilize. Human psychology would be altered. Flood myths appear in nearly every ancient civilization. Perhaps they were not symbolic. Perhaps they were astronomical. Proponents of this theory suggest that early humans witnessed the moon's insertion into Earth orbit, a slow capture process that caused decades or centuries of environmental upheaval. the moon would not simply appear overnight. It would loom larger, move erratically, dominate the sky. Imagine a second sun-sized object slowly claiming the heavens. Fear would be inevitable. Worship would follow. This may explain why the moon became one of humanity's earliest gods, not as a creator, but as a regulator. Ancient calendars, agricultural cycles, fertility rites, and royal bloodlines were all tied to lunar phases. Control the moon, and you control time. Some alternative historians argue that when the moon arrived, it reset civilization. Pre-lunar humanity, if that's the case, may have been very different biologically and psychologically. The moon's gravity altered Earth's rotation. Its light disrupted circadian rhythms. Its cycles imposed order on chaos. And with order came hierarchy. Kings ruled by lunar calendars. Priests interpreted lunar signs. Humanity reorganized itself around a new celestial authority. In this view, the moon is not just a satellite. It is a turning point, a before and an after. Which brings us to another extreme theory about the moon, the soul catcher theory. To understand the soul catcher theory, we must step outside conventional science and into a territory where physics, consciousness, and ancient metaphysics collide. At its core, the theory asks a single disturbing question. What if death is not an exit, but a redirection? According to proponents of the soul catcher theory, human consciousness does not simply fade, ascend, or merge with a higher state after death. Instead, it enters a managed process, one that is automated, systematic, and largely invisible. In this model, the moon functions as a relay station, not a destination, but a mechanism. When biological life ends, the brain ceases activity, but consciousness, according to this theory, does not. Instead, awareness detaches from the body in a vulnerable, disoriented state. Near-death experiencers across cultures report remarkably similar sensations. A sense of separation from the physical body, a rapid expansion of perception, the appearance of an intense light, a feeling of being pulled or guided. Supporters of the soul catcher theory suggest this is not random. They believe the moon emits or reflects a frequency, not electromagnetic in the conventional sense, but something closer to a consciousness resonance. Like gravity affects mass, this resonance affects awareness itself. The newly disembodied consciousness is drawn toward it. In many spiritual traditions, the light seen after death is portrayed as benevolent. But not all traditions agree. Ancient Gnostic texts warn of deceptive lights and gatekeepers, entities that intercept souls before they can escape the material realm. The Tibetan Book of the Dead explicitly instructs the dying to avoid the light if they wish to escape forced rebirth. Why would a spiritual tradition warn against something so widely described as comforting? The soul catcher theory suggests the light is not enlightenment, but a lure, a mechanism designed to attract consciousness using familiarity, emotional pull, and memory. Loved ones, religious imagery, feelings of peace, all tailored to encourage compliance. Once drawn in, the theory claims consciousness undergoes a memory filtration process. Not total erasure, but enough to strip identity, context, and continuity. This explains, proponents argue, why most people remember nothing between lives, yet still carry unexplained fears, talents, or emotional residues. After processing, consciousness is reinserted into the physical system, into a new body, a new life, a new cycle. Reincarnation, in this view, is not spiritual progression. It is containment. Earth becomes a closed-loop system, and the moon becomes the gate. But why the moon? Why not the sun? Why not deep space? Because the moon is perfectly positioned. It is close enough to dominate Earth's energetic environment, large enough to exert influence, and tidally locked, always facing us. Symbolically and physically, it never turns its back. Some variations of the soul catcher theory go even further. They propose that human emotional experience, fear, love, suffering, desire, produces a form of energy, not electrical, but experiential, and that this energy may be valuable to non-human intelligences. In this version, reincarnation is not punishment, it is production. Humanity becomes both participant and fuel in a system designed to sustain something beyond our perception. This idea echoes in ancient myths of gods, who fed on worship, sacrifice, or devotion. Symbolic or literal. The soul catcher theory has surged in popularity in recent years for a reason. More people report near-death experiences. More people question traditional religious narratives. More people sense that something about reality feels incomplete. This theory offers an explanation. Dark, unsettling, but coherent. It reframes existential anxiety not as meaninglessness, but as entrapment. And it places the moon not as a passive object, but as an active participant in the human story. And, as well as the soul catcher theory, is not asking to be believed. This is asking to be considered. It is asking to be considered. Because if consciousness is real, if it survives death, then the question is not whether something happens next, but who controls what happens next. Comment, subscribe, and follow us for more on Unwanted Archives channel.